do it or don't do it. You can't sit on the porch. No. Even got out and done anything on it. I mean, we need an answer. Either we is or we ain't.
True.
I'm gonna be quiet.
Me too.
That's in our resolution.
A motion to reconvene from executive session.
So moved.
I got a motion by Mr. Jones, a second by Mr. Holmes. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion, ma'am.
I'll second.
I got a motion by Mr. Rowe, second by Mr. Mitchell. We adjourn the special meeting. Okay. Let's call the regular meeting, call to order.
Public hearing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Over here.
Okay, let's call the public hearing to order. We did the invocation and the pledges, and the guests and public comments to the public hearing meeting this evening. If none, item number 1, guests and public comments received concerning ordinance 9 of 2023, implementing a hotel motel tax. Okay.
So,
Please state your name, ma'am.
yes, sir. My name is Charlotte Miller, and I'm the new tourist director for DeSoto Parish. So I crunched some numbers on the occupancy tax income, and I would like to share just a little bit briefly before you make this vote. So from the occupancy income from January of 2018 to present was $807,047.71. If you divide that by 5 years, which doesn't include our 2023 expenses, only income, we're operating on about $160,000. We do get $74,158 enterprise funds, and that comes from the 4%. Anyway, I can tell you that if you want it. That covers, 2/3 of that covers 2 employee salaries. So operational budget is probably about $180,000 a year. Just to give you an idea of how expensive advertising is, our contract with KTBS on the water tower, the tower cam you see on Channel 3 News is $48,000 a year. So if you subtract that from the $180,000, we're working with about $130,000 operation budget. But this is a concern of mine, the unknown. Out of that $807,000, how much of that occupancy tax collected from 2018 to present is the extra 3% that people have been collecting and turning in because they didn't know it was rescinded? So that's a big unknown right there. Occupancy tax, this year's budget is about $275,000. We make up the difference between the $180 and $275 with grants. We have right now a Louisiana Travel Revival Grant that started after COVID to get tourism back on track, but it has to be spent by the end of 2024. And CMP grants that's only available for advertising this year, it used to be a matching funds grant of $20,000. They've dropped that to $10,000 this year. So I'm asking you to please vote yes to implement this hotel motel tax because it's the main funding of our tourist bureau, so that we can continue to create new tourism venues, market our existing ones, and make it the economic force in DeSoto Parish. I do want to say this, occupancy income, 2021 was $150,531. In 2022, it jumped to $190,000, $383. So it has steadily gone up as we have marketed, got the new Discover DeSoto website going, and just worked with a group called Graham Group. They're sort of our marketing people. That funding is really important to keep us going up and not backwards. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
If I may, Mr. President, Ms. Charlotte.
Yes, I'm sorry.
What other revenue avenues do you have coming to the Tourist Bureau?
So the enterprise fund, that's at 4%. The enterprise fund, that 74,000 that I was talking about, that is a rebate we get every year. It's 50% of the 4% sales tax collected on every motel, RV, pad, whatever. But we split that enterprise fund is split between, our portion is 74,000, but the Tourist Bureau gets some, DeSoto Parish Chamber of Commerce gets 50%, and Logansport Chamber of Commerce gets 15%. And that happened, I think, under Miss Beverly Bruce. When they set that up, that was something that long ago.
Okay.
That's it, grants and the 3% occupancy tax. That's our main source of income.
Okay. Did you have a number? What would this tax bring to the Bureau
Well, right
if
now,
the tax passed?
if the tax passes,
Yeah.
well, right now, no, sir, I don't, because right now I just have the numbers for what I told you. Right.
2018.
Yes.
Okay.
Right. If you divide that up, but see, that's just a straight, so that has gone up pretty much every year. I just divided by 5 just to make it, an easier number to work with.
Okay, all right.
Some years we had more for budget, and some years, we
Okay.
didn't.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
So 30% of your budget is spent on a camera in Logansport?
Oh, Shreveport.
It's a camera, well, part of that is not just the camera. So the ads that you see, Rick Rowe coming, community caravans, I think, and I do have that contract if y'all want to see, it's more than just the camera. But advertising is, if you want to get outside the parish and use TV, yes, it's very expensive.
And I think 40% is spent on salaries, correct?
Yes, about
And your
54,000 is salaries between 2 people.
So roughly 70% of your budget is spent on salaries and your KTBS contract. And 30% actually is, the rest of the 30 is spent on what?
And I'm sorry, I should have printed a budget up. I can get that to you. Would you like me to get, and I know you're voting tonight, so I should have had that, I'm sorry. 30% goes to, like, we don't do the festivals anymore. Mostly I would say it's advertising, but like today we gave money to the Ricky Warren fireworks show. It's mostly marketing, yes. It's because see, that is our job. That's the Tourist Bureau's job, is marketing.
That's all I had for this time.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. Motion to adjourn?
So
The
moved.
public hearing?
So moved.
Got a motion by Mr. Kennedy,
Second.
a second by Ms. Trina Boyd. All in favor say aye. Aye. We'll adjourn this public hearing. And we'll roll right into our regular meeting. Regular meeting, call to order. We're gonna stand for the invocation on this one. Please. Let's bow our heads. Oh, gracious Father, thank you for another day that we've never seen before, Lord. Lord, we ask you to renew our hearts, renew our minds, oh Father God. Father God, we have a lot of moving parts in the parish, Lord. We just ask you to watch over our kids and the leaders that's in the parish. We pray for the people, the victims who's in the storm, oh Lord. Please give them faith and give them courage so that they can keep on going. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Follow me in the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, Okay, we're up to the presentations of the awards and service awards. We have a very special one, a retirement award. Mr. Sherman Youngblood.
What?
Please come forward. This here is a retirement award presented to Mr. Sherman Youngblood. Appreciate all your many years you're dedicated to the DeSoto Parish Holy Church and devotion and commitment to all of the cities of the parish. Thank you. All right. I'm gonna let you tell them how many years. Thank you.
I enjoy working for the parish. It's time for me to do something different. I sure don't care every now.
You always got fishing available.
Oh, yeah. I thank y'all for it.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're down to the, let me see, any more awards? No, it's not. I have one announcement for the public. We have put signs up to please silence your cell phones while we're in meetings. Thank you for doing so. Okay, any call for addition and deletion to the agenda? I have one to authorize the president by resolution to execute an agreement with DOTD for a local road striping and signage grant. And we will put this under old business, new business, new business.
So moved.
Got a mover by Mr. Baker,
Second.
second by Ms. Trina Boyd. Roll call vote,
Do we-
Mr. Mitchell.
Do we have anything on it?
We trying to get a grant. Well, Mr. Phillip is working on a very good grant for us for the striping and the signage from DOTD.
Yeah, it's worth about a $1.8 million worth of striping in DeSoto Parish, and this is paid for by a grant.
And Mr. Clark's been working on it quite some time now, so we thank you. Roll call vote, Mr. Mitchell?
Aye.
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 Motion passes. We'll put that on the new business. Okay, president report, none. Any council report? Okay. Administrative report.
Thank you, President Ross. First item on the administrator's report is the HUD program, which we collect HUD dollars through OCS, has not been audited since 2009. There will be findings regarding the interest allocations, expenses not covered by the program, salaries allocations not recorded properly, etc. Going forward, we will be correcting all the findings once the audit is finally released, and we will have the audit performed as required. From what I understand, HUD initiates this audit, and they're supposed to do a multi-year audit every few years, but that has kind of fallen by the wayside. But that's one of the audits that we're currently undergoing. Anyway, that's going to be done probably at the parish treasurer's under her direction, probably every 3 years, I want to say, because that's the period I believe that they're currently reviewing us for. Number two, the phone system updates. I know everyone has been calling, and there was a mechanical voice. That was during the transition, but since then, CPTEL has been currently replacing our phone systems and getting all the hosted back to the back office for programming the phones. We have currently updated the main office, Office of Community Service, and the maintenance division. We're going to be moving on to the road department, the airport, animal control, and landfill shortly. If you'll notice when you call, you now hear Miss Cynthia's voice on the system, whereas it was a mechanical voice before. That was, we only had that for about a week, and that was the week I was on vacation. I can tell you that shouldn't have happened. That was, they had been asked to put her voice on there first, so we have that corrected. Item 3 is the occupational license tax notices were sent out to several businesses throughout the parish. We had approximately 20 businesses who had never obtained a license. We have been in communication with them. We've got nearly half of them on board So there's a copy of the letter in behind the administrator's report in your binders if you'd like to see the notice that's going out to taxpayers. Number 4, website updates. We've currently made some updates to our website. Donald, do you have that website pulled up? I wanted to share with the jury just a couple items that we have changed for our website. This is for the jury and for the general public. Under the on our website, if you go to agendas, I'll let him pull this up real quick. Under news agendas, you will now be able to, going forward, access the agenda both in PDF and downloadable form. There is a section there for the agenda packet. So the packet that y'all receive in the mail is available to the general public, and after each meeting, when the minutes are typed up, those will be available online as well as the video for each of the sessions. There will be a link to the video there as well. We've also had some other updates to the directors. We've gotten pictures and photos. We now have some more information out there for the taxpayers. If they call, they can call those offices, or they'll know the extensions to call the offices at. Our inventory scales will be completed at the road department within the next couple of weeks. This has been an ongoing process that has taken us more than a year to complete since I first identified this as part of the inventory control weakness at the road department. The auditors, that was one of the items they cited us on in our audit last year. And since then, we got the funding from Division Administration. We got the letter. We put out for the bids. We got a bid back. It's taken a long time because there's supply line issues that we've had to deal with. We finally got the scales. They've poured the molds out there. They're going to be installing the rest of it here shortly. So this is going to be probably identified in our current audit as we have not addressed this, but this is something that it's taken us more than a year to address, and these are paid for by the state. Number 6, road citation letter that's issued by finance. You'll see there's an attached copy of the letter that went out under finance's direction, under my direction from the parish treasurer. We've identified all the trucking companies and all the haulers who have the delinquent notice, who have delinquent tickets that are owed. There's approximately $63,500 in delinquents. We've contacted them, letting them know that if this isn't paid within a certain time period, that they are subject to having their permits pulled or voided entirely. So I believe we're going to get a pretty big response. I know most of them probably just don't know that their truckers are getting these tickets and the truckers are just putting them away somewhere. But once we contact the companies have been pretty receptive so far. Number 7, there is attached to this the insurance certificate issued for the ATV safety training event at the 4-H building. You can find a copy of that certificate, which covers the ATV safety training. That is an annual event. It does not involve a course. It's just that very small section that y'all are approving. The certificate is a blanket certificate, covers all uses that the 4-Hers use out at the facility, and it's pretty much the same. It's the same certificate for any of their events out there. This will be covered if anything happens. Number 8, the recent storm-related update. As you all know, we just had a pretty bad storm that wiped out a lot of the electrical systems and parish-wide. We still have people who are currently out. We've out of power. A lot of the road department has been dispatched. They worked through the weekend focusing on cutting trees, clearing roadways. They worked on Sunday and they worked yesterday as well. They're going to be focusing on that to get that that's our primary focus at this time. We are, as y'all do know, the governor declared an emergency as a result of this, which will give us access to some GO-STEP dollars for reimbursement for part of the cleanup. So we are currently working on documenting everything. Whenever one of our road crew goes out, they document where they go, what they're doing. That way we have an allocated cost to submit to GOSEP for reimbursement. And that's a 75% reimbursement. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question as it relates to the storms and the dumpsters. I know you're saying with the cleanup, the road crews coming out, picking up the trees and the debris, but we have some residents that are trying to get these, are unable to cut these trees down, and they are able and can't have access to a dumpster to load them in. So is there anything in place with the monies that you're saying that's going to be provided, whereas if some individuals are unable to either get these trees taken away or unable to get them in some type of container? Because I know the Mundy landfill, they are behind tremendously in trying to get these dumpsters out, picking them up and taking them out. So have we looked at anything as it relates to that? Because there are several individuals that can't afford, or I wouldn't say can't afford, but are unable to get these trees removed.
Well, as far as going on private property, the road department's not authorized to do that specifically. But we do have, there are constituents that can call and get a box dropped at their property. It depends on
Yes.
where the property is, because those trucks are pretty heavy and you don't want them rutting up a yard or getting stuck in yards.
But the problem that I have been running into is before this storm, they are behind. They don't have the manpower to get the trucks, get the dumpsters picked up or get the dumpsters delivered. So now they've fallen even further behind. So I understand about the private property issue. I'm just saying for individuals that, because if we're riding through the city and we're seeing all these fallen trees, a lot of it is lack to not being able to get a dumpster because we are behind, or just it's on private property and they can't get one or get a trailer to haul it off. Because everyone that's been calling me, I've been sharing with them that they're behind and that at this point they're having to get trailers and haulers. But then we're passing around, you know, we're seeing a lot of, we're gonna still see a lot of trees that's gonna be down because people can't get access to them. So it's just something.
Well, the trucks with the the roll-off trucks is what you're referring to,
Yes.
that have the open-top containers. We only have, at solid waste, we only have about 5 of those. Just this past weekend, 2 or 3 of them went down. They got them up today operating. They ran with 2 trucks yesterday, just addressing the compactor sites. The road department has repurposed some of their dump trucks to go and pick up some trees as well. That's part of the cleanup. So,
So if I tell them if they can move it to the street area with, I mean, off of private property to be possibly, picked up because, yes, sir.
Yeah, excuse me, man. Yeah, we usually, in this situation, if they can get it to the street,
Okay,
we'll come by and pick it up.
thank you.
That's what we usually do in small
Okay.
areas like that.
Okay,
but there's a long list,
I know.
and, you know, I mean,
So I'm
there-
just, when
the ro-
I'm getting those phone calls, instead of having to say, I'm sorry, we gotta put you on a waiting list, and you have a tree in your yard and it's private property, I can say, like Mr. Woodley said, if you can get some of it to the road with this type of situation, because this was a natural issue, that it can be hauled off. Okay.
Now, that would be subject to, and correct me if I'm wrong, Woodley, I don't think we have freedom to just go throughout Mansfield and do that.
No,
This is
no,
for
no.
parish, right?
I'm
It's for
saying
roads.
parish.
Right.
Parish.
Right, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
All right.
If I may,
Go ahead, sir.
that was part of, I'm sure, did you declare DeSoto Parish as a disaster area?
Yeah,
You did? So that's part of the reason why we were able to do that,
right.
by declaring DeSoto Parish as a disaster area as well, by the president.
Yes, sir.
So normally, we don't, doesn't do that, but.
And we did that prior to the governor issuing his declaration. We did
Right.
that as of Friday.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So that's gonna be, Cause you just mentioned the city of Mansfield, but I saw quite a bit of damage up in Stonewall. I feel so sorry for them people. I hope we gonna be able to go up there and help them out.
Well,
Because it's a lot of damage up there.
Yes, ma'am, there's a lot of roads that are
They're still-
parish roads that are up there. We're talking just the parish road section. I mean, I'm not opposed to helping that, but that's gotta be that has to be the jury decides to, hey,
Yeah,
we're
'cause
gonna
the
now
township-
go and do those work in the towns, but you gotta be careful, spending public funds. And we just have to do it right. I believe we can do that. We just have to do it right. That's all.
Yeah, this is not the first time we've had to do this, though.
I mean, the township set in the parish, honestly.
We've done that.
So, I mean, we need to be helping people. I keep telling y'all, we got to give back. Help these people, they in need.
So we can help.
Did Mr. Willie leave, or is he just, there he is. Can't see you behind Steve.
He switched down.
On Stanley Road, Mr. Woodley, just while we're talking about it, there's a tree that's been down since Friday morning that's still there blocking Stanley.
Right.
And it is in the city, but a lot of parish residents live on both sides of it, like Hall Road that continues and it's half city, half parish. I don't know if we have anybody that can help. If we don't, then I'll get it done elsewhere, but I noticed it this afternoon on the way here, the tree's still laying there.
Yeah, like Mike said, mainly concentrating on Parish Road. But that being like it is, we'll cut it in half and leave the city for it,
Well, isn't half the road ours? We'll just cut the other half and pile it in the middle of the city on the parish side, and then you come get it too.
we don't usually go in the city unless y'all prove that we can go in the city, but we supposed to concentrate on Parish Road. And I understand what Mr. Correa said, everybody needs help, but y'all make the laws and just try to follow.
What I'm saying is, I don't know about the rest of y'all, but I got some constituents in the city of Mansfield, and they need help. These people got constituents in Stonewall, they need help. He got constituents in Logansport, they need help, and we are the governing authority, and it's our job to help them.
Any other questions? The bids for the excavation of the Borough Pit landfill had to be thrown out due to each bidder not acknowledging all the addendums or not filling out the bid forms correctly. Finance sent the new advertisement out last week, and the anticipated bid opening will be July 17th, prior to the meeting. Item 10, the Clico facility will be moving a very large piece of equipment that weighs approximately 1.3 million pounds. The only jury road affected is Power Plant Road, and there's a bridge on that road. That is one of our few bridges. They'll be moving down Highway 84 after they get off of Power Plant Road to the rail spur in Mansfield. This will occur at the end of June or the first week in July. So we wanted to make everyone aware. You will notice this happening. This is going to shut down Highway 84 for probably a good better part of 4 hours. This company, Barnhart, they're doing the relocation. It's a stator motor, it's a transformer, it's a huge piece of equipment, and they have approximately 32 axle vehicle gonna be moving this thing. So it's gonna take some time. So if you get calls from your constituents, just be aware of that. Finally, the ARPA funds update. If you look in your sheet, there is in your packet, you're gonna see the ARPA funds update. This sheet right here, it gives you an up-to-date cost of where everyone has spent their money, their ARPA funds. And that's what I have to report. Do I have any questions?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
On that number 8, the recent storm-related update, you were talking about shortage of dumpsters, and Mr. Woodley was talking about we were using the dump trucks also. Are we using contractor dump trucks also for this kind of stuff?
No, sir, we're not using the contractor.
Contractors are only supposed to be hauling materials for us, right?
they couldn't haul this stuff for us if we contracted out for it?
We could, but it's gonna probably put us over budget on that item, but, and we can do that. And I'm not sure, I can't speak for the contractors or their truck equipment. We have to, there's specific, I guess, trucks that you have to use for some of this. And you have to have track hose to put the trees in the back of the truck, so, I mean, I'm not opposed to that, but we'd have to look at the budget and see where we are on those contractors. We used them up pretty quickly last year. I don't know where we are with that particular line item, but, yeah, that is an option.
Beg your pardon? I'm through.
Michael,
Yes,
didn't you say that it's reimbursable?
Yes, sir. The cost of this, including labor, diesel, anything is reimbursable. You have to file for the reimbursement. You have to collect the data, and you have to have it's like a grant. You have to work it like a grant. And just to put this in perspective, we're still trying to get all that information for the winter storm that occurred 4 to 5 years ago. So it takes a long time to get that.
But you could document their work, and they could be paid through us, the contractors.
Correct. We would pay for it, and we would
Get
be
reimbursed.
Yes, sir.
But that in reimbursement might be from 5 to 8 years, if we're lucky. Any more questions? We're up to the lobbyist report.
I have one question before.
I'm
we go
sorry.
to- I apologize before we head into the lobbyist report. Did we not have any representation for item D on the agenda?
No.
We did not. Okay.
I have a special guest, if that's okay.
That's very
Chairman
fine.
Bagley.
By all means, that's a money man.
'Cause we certainly want to know what happened.
All right. Good evening, y'all. Chance
Good evening.
McNeely. Good to be here with y'all today. Y'all have a copy of my report in your packet. And I guess before I kind of go through that, Chairman Bagley, do you want to say a few words about the session?
Only that it's over, and I'm glad to be home. It's quite a task that once a year deal we go down there because it's a lot of people like here. You have a lot of requests to do things. Ms. Boyd Simpson was talking about people calling her. I get calls too, and get them pretty much through the year from all over. So it's a difficult session. I will say that some of this thing, one of the biggest disappointments I had was I asked for a new way to take the severance tax. And what I had asked for to raise the amount 20% that we get already, but it's capped at $880,000, and then there's another few dollars that they put on. I'd asked to move that cap to $10 million that would have to be put on roads, bridges, sewer, and water. It made it through the House, 101-0, but it got to the Senate and it stalled, and Senate Chairman Reverend Fisk would not let it go. He told me it's not going to happen, and we went to the last day. He did add some money in the capital outlay for the police. Sure, $37 million was added because he couldn't. I told him I'd rather have the $10 million a year than 37, but he wouldn't. And there'll be another shot at that. It would be a constitutional amendment. And I thought for sure after it went through the House so easily, I'd have a good chance to do that, but that didn't happen. If you got any other questions, as chance goes through that, I'll be glad to answer anything you need.
Well, but wasn't it 2 of them or just one?
About the severance tax?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that was a constitutional amendment that we had to do, and the other one just changed the trigger.
Okay.
And then at the end, I moved it in. We had to do that because I was going to put half of it on economic development and half of it, because once the gas is gone,
Right.
I'd like to have some businesses here that we could use. And so I had a lot of problem with that. And so I just took that out of the bill. When I did that, I only had to just do the constitutional amendment.
Okay.
Thank you, Chairman Bagley. So some of this that I'll go over, he just hit on. The most important things are what I put first. So HB2 is your state construction budget. Earlier, or I guess last fall, y'all submitted a capital outlay request for a parish-wide road improvement program. And so y'all got, I think the total, and Michael may know, but the total was maybe 3.5 million y'all wanted in the first year and 37 million in the out years. Obviously, we got $1.6 million cash in the first year. That's less than what we asked for, but it is, in talking with the staff and others, and it's, more than y'all have received over the last 20 years that you've gotten in cash just in this first year of trying. And so we would have liked for that number to have been higher, but I do think that overall that's a successful first effort. The 37 million in P5, what that essentially means is that it's an expression of the legislature that, because y'all's request was a 5-year deal, and so that money will be moved up. You have to work for it, but it'll be moved up on an annual basis. That's the intent of putting that P5 money there, because I think the request you have was like 3.5 million the first year, maybe 4.5 or something the next year, and then the third year went up to like 12 million. So multi-year program, you have to fight for those dollars on an annual basis, and that's why Chairman Bagley sought to do the severance tax bill so that we would not have to fight every year, because if the cap had been changed his way, we'd be getting 10 million a year, and there's nothing anybody could do about that. The powers that be in the Senate prefer to have control over the dollars, and that's just how it shook out this year. My personal opinion is that the spending cap issue that I talked to y'all about before, this is kind of a once in a generation. The last time that the state had to vote like this in a big way to raise the spending cap was Katrina, or at least that's the last time it was sensationalized. And a lot of the members of the House, some of them didn't want to do that, and so the Senate kind of bills that cost money from the House, when they got to the Senate, a lot of them were killed. And I would suggest that Chairman Bagley's bill was one of those that fell victim to, even the Senate president came to a breakfast we hosted and said it was a good bill. But ultimately, it's inside the chamber politics. I will say, just, the bill got as far as it did with a whole lot of co-authors from across the state, and that's a sole testament to Chairman Bagley really working that bill. He worked it very hard. I've worked with members on all kinds of bills, lots of different issues, and he takes the award for hardest working legislator on that bill by far. So I want to give him those kudos.
Yeah, thank you.
He deserves it. So I did go ahead, in the state construction budget, there are some dollars for other entities. It's not the jury, but it's relevant for y'all to be aware of. And Chairman, didn't you work on the technical college? So that, that.
We, I think all of you know about the technical college here, that I've started nursing school there. We've been going now, I guess, for 5 years. I got $2 million 2 years ago. This year they put $3.5 million. We will, when it gets through, this is my attempt to help poor people that live in this area that cannot go to Shreveport or go to Natchitoches to get a nursing degree. I know I did the commencement at the Votech one night, and they had 22 that got a LPN. I asked them, why don't they go get an RN if you went that far? And they said, well, we're not certified. Why aren't we? Well, we've just never done it. So why haven't we? Well, we just haven't done it. So at that point, that became a goal to try to get, and we got 10 ladies that are in it now. I hadn't checked with them lately, but I told them, if you'll go and do this, because everybody's going to tell you can't do it, that you're not smart enough, you're not this, you're not that, and we've all heard that. But if you'll do this, once you get out, you won't even let your kids go back and play where you're probably living now. You'll have a nice home, you'll have a nice car, and you will change the whole history of your family, because you'll make those kids go to school and get better and do better. and that's how we learn. And so that'll be here in Mansfield. That will be, I'm not sure exactly, probably the last I heard, it was gonna be another 3 or 4 years before you can even get accreditation. So this is a long project, but I am getting money as we go along. Right now, we've gotten over almost $6 million to build buildings. The hospital has agreed to let us have area in there to teach the classes. When they get through, as they graduate, they'll have a job there waiting at DeSoto General if they want to, or they can go somewhere else. Being a nurse is a pathway to having a job. It doesn't matter where you go, you're gonna be hired. And when I talked to the administrator at the hospital to talk to them about doing it, said, you'll get first pick of all the nurses, and the ones you don't want to get, they'll be easy to get a job somewhere else. So that's, again, we haven't talked about that very much. I did something the other day, I think, but that's the last money that I've gotten to try to get that going. And again, there'll be another building over there at the technical school to try to put things in Mansfield and DeSoto Parish and Sabine Parish to try to help people that want to help themselves to do better.
And on that same note, Sandra, I know that the nursing is at the forefront, but we also need bricklayers, plumbers, and carpenters too.
Well, and that came about because of the commencement exercise. And these ladies, if you're doing that, why not just take a few more hours? And, kids that quit, get out of school and graduate that are really good students, and they have a child, and they end up, they don't have childcare, they don't have a reliable car. And this is all, because at first they said, well, let's let them do a year, and then we'll send them to Shreveport or Natchitoches. I'm like, that's ridiculous. Because they can't afford, they can't afford a car, they don't have a reliable car, and they certainly can't leave their children with anybody. They don't have reliable childcare. So that was the whole purpose of all this, to try to bring something to this area that will help families. And you're right, bricklayers, plumbers, those things, we need a lot of them.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your effort, though.
It, a lot of, south of I-10, you see quite a few, allocations like that. It hasn't been that common to see an investment like that made in DeSoto Parish, and while it's not going to the jury for roads, it is noteworthy, certainly, that's in there. Beyond that, Logansport received some bond dollars in P1, so that'll be this year bond dollars for recreational improvements. They also received 1.15 in P5, which again is an expression to give them more money in the future. The East DeSoto Water System got $360,000 cash for emergency power systems, and LSU Health Science Center Animal Research Facility and Stonewall got $5 million in P1, and that's again that facility back there off Missile Base Road. And so that's the state construction budget. HB 560 is the bill that spends the remainder, or cuts in bad years, that whatever, it kind of reconciles the end of the current fiscal year. And so this current fiscal year, they had extra money. And so this is where the parish got a $250,000 cash allocation for 2 heated steel storage tanks. I don't know much about that other than I know Mr. Norton can elaborate on the specific need for that, but that's something that he requested. Yeah. And then also other inside the parish, $20,000 for the DeSoto Parish Chamber of Commerce for community reinvestment, $250,000 to the sheriff's office for equipment, $30,000 to the sheriff's office for a special needs awareness program, which I think is about autism, I believe. $50,000 to the town of Logansport for the Christmas festival, $85,000 to Keachai for streets, $300,000 to Mansfield for water and sewage, $50,000 to Friends of Mansfield Female College Museum, and $300,000 to Stonewall. That bill, HB 560, has been signed by the governor, and none of this stuff was vetoed. So that money is real. HB 2 has not been signed yet, but we have no reason to believe that our dollars would be in jeopardy over that. Our members of the legislature, all of them voted for the budget and for the spending cap in the House and Senate. And so far, the only vetoes we've seen are for House members who worked really hard against the budget. So for that reason, I don't feel like we are in jeopardy. And then HB1 is a state operating budget, and that's just where the DeSoto Parish Tourism and all the parish tourism dollars come in, $148,000, which is the same rate as last year, I believe. And then quickly hitting on the areas that Chairman Bagley just talked about, he had HB 280. That's the severance tax bill that we discussed that took the cap up to 10 million. We did get a hearing at the very end of session in Senate Rev and Fiscal Affairs, and I do think that that's an issue that is difficult enough that it's a multi-year effort, but I do think that it can pass if we keep trying. You've got to remember, and we've talked about this before, there's a lot of parishes in South Louisiana that get high severance taxes. It's building the right coalition, and more important than that, the timing of the budget and other political issues in order to get something like that through. Jack McFarland had another bill that just raised the cap up to 2.85 million. That is there's a point in the Constitution right now to where if revenues are high enough, the cap moves up to 2.85 million. So we got like this close this year to hitting that, but we didn't as a state. So assuming that things grow, it's possible that, next year perhaps 2.85, y'all could get that. This bill would have made that the new floor, but it died for the same reasons as Chairman Bagley's bill. And then this last one is 650 by Edmonds. We all know that we've struggled with the Mansfield Enterprise doing its publications in a way that meet our needs, and that we've lost dollars because of that. This bill does not give y'all the ability to change your journal away from the Mansfield Enterprise, but it does put a lot of standards on them with respect to what they have to post online, when they have to bill y'all, and probably most importantly, if they fail to do something on their end, it can't affect the validity of the publication. And so I am thinking I may look to our attorney for her review of that language, but the intent there that the Police Jury Association was seeking to, we can't, change our publication, but if they mess up in a substantive way, it can't be the cause of us losing a big, grant or something of that nature. So that was a victory for the Police Jury Association as well. And then he's not here, but I do want to give him recognition. Senator Barry Milligan in the Senate side, he is on Senate Finance, and he was a number of these line items. He was instrumental in getting them put in here. And I think it was great teamwork having Chairman Bagley pursue the severance tax, tell the story for DeSoto Parish, and luckily Milligan in the Senate is there to, we can't do severance tax, but he can go to those chairmen and make sure that the parish does get some dollars. So teamwork is important, working across the chambers. This was a very difficult session. I would say it's probably the most, toxic that in a while. And so with that all being said, again, the 1.6 million is certainly an improvement from the past, and we hope to grow that in the future. So I'll stop talking and see if any of
I'll
y'all.
just say one more thing, and again, it's been a pleasure of mine to serve these last 8 years. I've got one more term I can serve. And these things are all working toward being able to finish some of these as severance tax. I'm going to come back at that when we get back. There'll be new people in those seats that stopped it this last time. They didn't understand, I don't think, the damage that's happened here in DeSoto Parish. They talked about 100 years ago in Plaquemine, they didn't have all that. I said, 100 years ago, you didn't have 20-ton trucks on those roads either.
Yeah.
And we have them now. And I said, and I tried to explain to them 30 years ago, we didn't have the damage that we have now. They go through that, and you certainly all know this. And we need money to help try to build those roads back. And again, I'd said it on the highways, the bridges, the sewer, and the water. We've got to have a sewer system. We've got to have water Those are big, and every year I pass legislation or get money for those projects. I'd like to be able to put, as Chance said, for a change, I'd like to not have to go with my hat in my hand begging them to give me $1, which is what happens. And I've had to make a lot of friends and promise a lot of things to vote on to try to get that done. And have been very successful doing that. So I do appreciate Chance does a great job. He helped me a lot of times when I was trying to get bills over, or I had stuff over in the Senate trying to get back and forth. It's a hectic balance, but he did a great job. And I appreciate you and serving you. And anytime I can do anything for you, please call. I'll be glad to do whatever I need, you know, whatever specifically that you need me to do, I will certainly try to do that. If anybody have a question, I'll be glad to answer. Thank you very much.
How much money do DeSoto Parish send to the state?
You don't want to know that.
A tremendous amount of money.
I know.
Well, I'll say this.
They don't want to give us nothing back.
I'll say this, that I told them, we paid $73 million in severance tax last year. Out of $73 million, we got $1.1 million back.
That's sad.
This year, when I sent the bill, we were talking about the bill that day, we had already paid $136 million, almost twice the money. And they say we're on line to pay $300 million this year out of DeSoto Parish. And we're gonna get $1 million back. I promise you, I fought this as hard as I could fight. Again, Chance told you a minute ago, I worked those guys as hard as I could work. And again, it went out of the House 101-0. I convinced him. It was that one senator I couldn't convince, because the senators I talked to, they were all for that. Plaquemine got $10 million too, because they got a lot of stuff down there too. But I was told by a senator that my parish doesn't need it, we just throw it away. That was one of the parishes was gonna get. And I'm like, well, throw some up to DeSoto. Yeah. We'll take all you got. So that's the fight. I realize how this is, and we're gonna get this done one way or the other.
Yes.
I'm not sure how they'll have to, I might have, in fact, at the end, I told them, well, what about $5 million? We let us do 5. And of course, at that point, I'm beat. I'm just trying to beg to stay in the game, and I knew what was going to happen. But again, we'll try and we'll make another run at next year, and hopefully be much better news. Again, and I will say this: capital outlay Stuart Bishop came to me and said, "Now you own your capital outlay on some of those. I'm going to give that in cash." Now, I can't tell you how fortunate that is for us to get cash, because cash means you don't have to go through the bond commission. There is a process, but you don't have to go through the bond commission, which is always perilous. And so some of that money that you got in cash was that he just did that as a favor, because I helped him get elected to his spot. So we did all that. All right, thank you very much. No other questions.
And just real quickly, I agree 100%, and we did make that argument. I just want to give some context. The leadership in the House and Senate is very South Louisiana centered. And so just as a comparison, Caddo Parish Police Jury got no money in this construction budget. Bossier Parish got no first-year money. They got $10 million future money, P5. There's a lot of parishes up here. They don't pay as much severance tax as DeSoto, but a lot of parishes who got very little or nothing, and that's not right, and that's not the way that it should be. But we've got to keep fighting on this to get it right. I do think that alliance between North and South can be made if the other political issues can come together. So I just wanted to provide some context on that, but I agree with you 100%.
You look like North Louisiana need to march to the capital.
You know, Ms. Morrell, I should have called you when I was in the Senate. Maybe you could have gotten it done for me. I could have pointed him out to you. Go talk to him. But thank y'all for hearing me. I appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Keep up the good work.
Mr. Bagley, we do appreciate you for fighting for us. We had no idea. I had no idea you was down fighting for us like that, but we appreciate it. Because we talk about that all the time, what we're sending down and what what we're getting back.
Really, you hear about victories mostly. There are a lot of losses too.
Yeah.
But the losses help. You know, I'll say, all right, you beat me this time, but I need you to help me on this one.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how that. You all know you're all
Yeah,
politics.
oh yeah.
Well, thank y'all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're down to our treasurer finance report. Ma'am.
Good evening.
We kind of, sir, kind of passed the guest and public comments.
I didn't know.
Okay.
May I stand?
Yes, sir.
Okay. My name is Bobby Boyd. I'm Vice President of the DeSoto Parish School Board.
Yes, sir.
I was waiting on the presentation, and then I was heard, I think you said there's no one here to represent. So,
For the Mansfield track?
right,
Oh.
No, they're not.
You representing the Mansfield?
so I'm gonna
Oh,
represent.
well,
I like to have them to come back. I like to give them a
Okay.
call. They have them to come
I
back.
didn't see any kids. I didn't.
No, I like to get in touch with them.
Right.
And
Do it the proper
even
way.
the Blue family.
Right, let's do it the
Get them,
proper.
right, to come back up.
Thank
So,
you.
thank you. We gonna.
Is that
thank
all
you.
right with you, Mr. Boyd?
What you want me to do now?
We're gonna reschedule.
Yeah, we're gonna reschedule them, come back.
Okay, okay. Well, thank you very
And
much.
hopefully we can get the kids.
But I just wanna say thank you for putting them on, you know?
Yes, sir.
And, like I say, I have one principal, two assistant principals. Someone could have been here.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna go out there in the morning, because if someone gonna try to present you something, and
Right.
try to say, I appreciate you,
Yes.
Well,
someone could have been here.
And we apologize on our behalf for overlooking you. We didn't know you was
you don't,
affiliated with the track.
I would say, you don't know the problem we had with just trying to catch up with the coaches to get this through. It was a big hassle trying to just catching up with them.
But see,
But we didn't want the kids to be missed out on this. Yeah.
I don't mean to be rude, but I'm going out there in the morning.
Thank you. Please,
Beat me out there then.
please, cause we was prepared.
'Cause I've been ripping and running all week
Want
trying to
me
get
to,
there.
I would take it out there in the morning.
We
No,
gotta
no,
get
we
you
want,
back and
we wanna do it the
everything.
right way.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Because the kids shouldn't be suffering because the adults are not following through.
Exactly.
Okay. Treasury report, please.
Good evening. Just before I start going over the financials, just want to touch base that, we're undergoing 3 audits, just so y'all are aware of that. We're going through an audit with the HUD for the rental assistance program, and then we're doing the weatherization audit too. On top of that, our own audit, which should have a exit. It should be pretty much closed this Thursday. So just wanted to make you aware of that. On your financials for the general fund, you will see a big jump on the royalties. We are at roughly $531,000 for surplus on that, on the budgeted amount. That is due to close to about $1 million that came in the month of May from Southwestern Energy Company on 2 of the new leases that we signed with them. Investment earnings, you see a big jump on that. We do have to make some adjustments to spread that evenly, disperse it to all the funds. The fire and insurance rebate, we should be seeing some money come in probably in the next month or so. The expenses on the budget itself, they're right on track. I do want to point out that I'm probably coming back for a budget adjustment for the register of voters on the election expense. We had budgeted $35,000 for the election. Bill came in about a week ago for $58,000. So that's, close to about $20,000 more that we budgeted for. I do have a call in just to try to get an explanation of how they calculate that amount. On the road, our sales tax revenue on that is about 20% higher than the budgeted amount. That's roughly about 1.2 in surplus amounts. Just want you to keep in mind that fluctuates and goes up and down. I mean, it just depends on collections. They can actually go down. The expenses on the road department are at 22% overall, but we have about 1.6 in obligations on some different projects. The solid waste, sales tax revenue on that is roughly about $379,000 in surplus. And roughly we have about $319 on the tipping fees over the budgeted amount. Overall expenses are at 26.45 with over about $1 million in obligations. So those percentages will be going up here in the next month. Criminal court fund is staying afloat. Just keep in mind that we will have some expenses coming in because of the trial that's starting, I believe, next week. What I'm told, we budgeted a lot from the witness and jurors fund. Per the DA and the judge, they will sit together at the end of the trial and figure out exactly how much was spent, because everything's gonna come out of that criminal court fund, and anything that, you know, that we're over budget, they're going to go ahead and do a transfer from the witness and jurors. But they're gonna wait till the trial is completely over to make sure we can reconcile those expenses. OCS, we're waiting on some funds from programs. Right now, we're running about 2 months or so behind. Their expenses are at 38%. The airport, we're looking at the grants for what we budgeted to be approved probably third or fourth quarter, so you won't see anything on revenues on that. As of right now, they're at 9% on revenue and 14% on expenses. ARPA fund, I haven't made any of the transfer yet. I'm kind of waiting to get the final audit numbers from the auditors to make all the necessary adjustments and do all my transfers. The rental assistance, pretty much in and out. Revenues are at 39%, expenses at 40%. Animal services, with us putting that 500,000, their revenues are at 94%, while expenses are at 36%. The jail fund, the sales tax revenue that we budgeted, we have about 252,000 surplus, while their expenses are at 23%. In last meeting, we had an item with the correctional facility and all that. I was, you know, told to look at some numbers, looking at the correctional facility fund balance and the jail fund balance. We have probably about $4 million there that can go to the funding of the new jail. However, looking at all the numbers, we're looking at needing to bond about $8 million. At the last meeting, you know, there was some discussion of where that could come from. The only source will be to actually, you know, bond this $8 million with the source of repayment using some of that surplus that we have on the sales tax. So looking at those numbers right now, interest rates will be about 5.6%. All of this will have to go to the State Board Commission to get actual figures, you know, drawing up. Another alternative that we have within the sales tax, we have that 1% that's allocated to the library, road, jail, and the landfill. It will be up to the jurors to decide whether we can take this back out to the people and change some of this distributions. For example, you know, the jail only gets 0.10 out of that 1%, while the library gets 25. So it will be a vote of the people to go out there and, you know, distribute some of that to either up or down some of those other. But that's really where we at as far as finding some sources to go out there and try to bond $8 million to be able to cover that correctional facility. If anybody has any questions, that's it for the month of May financials.
Is there any questions? Being none, accept the financial statement as of May 31st, 2023, year-to-date budget to accurate report.
Make a motion.
Mr. Hong made the motion. Mr. Greg Baker, second. Discussion? None, please vote. Motion passes. Approve of minutes. May the 15th, 2023 public hearing. May the 15th, 2023 regular meeting. May the 24th, 2023 special meeting. June 1st, 2023 special meeting. June 5th, 2023 committee meeting. And June 12th, 2023 special meeting.
So move.
Got a
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Baker, second by Mr. Rowe. Discussion? There's no discussion. Would you please vote? Motion passes. Old business, authorize president to execute a resolution for the assignment of state agency lease number 22104 from Mineral Services Company, all of their rights, title, and interest in said lease until Paloma Natural Gas LLC.
So move.
Made a motion by Mr. Ernell Jones. We'll have a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Kennington and Mr. Holmes. Discussion?
Yes, sir. Can you elaborate a little on this? What this is?
This is a resolution for the jury to authorize allowing for the leasing of that property that's identified, that the jury owns. And we have to, it goes to the state bond, or not the bond commission, mineral board. It goes to the state mineral board every time we have to lease out something. So this is part of that process. We have to authorize a resolution so we can continue to get those $1 million checks. One that Sharon's pointed out.
What it is?
Yes, ma'am.
Say that part.
Yeah.
Okay, if there are no more questions, please vote.
They voting.
Motion passes. Number 4, authorize the president to sign a cooperative endeavor agreement with Opinion Abatement Administrating Corporation. Going once. Going twice.
Can we have is this the opioid? Okay. All right, I got you.
Going 3 times. So we don't have a motion on that. Motion fails. Item number 5, authorize a change in the CEA with DeSoto 4-H Foundation for the storage building at the Dave B. Means buildings to add an additional $3,000 for costs. So ARPA money.
So move.
I got a motion by Mr. Mitchell,
Second.
second by Ms. Trina Bard.
And
Discussion?
yes, discussion. This is coming from my ARPA money. Mr. Norton reached out to me. Basically, what has happened is that they initially had someone that was going to kind of like pro bono some of the work for them, but that individual bailed out. And so they are needing this additional monies to help as far as with the storage. So that's what this,
Okay.
and it is part of my ARPA money.
Thank you for in doing such a matter.
I thought they had a grant. Then they were supposed to, the rest of the money was supposed to be done with a grant.
That was it.
No, ma'am.
Not
This
that.
was, y'all originally approved out of the general fund $3,000 to build the storage facility, and their contractor, well, their pro bono member of the group backed out of constructing it. So now they have to contract it out and get quotes for the construction of that storage facility.
And they did get several, I asked Mr. Norton if they have other quotes, and they did have several quotes. The 3 quotes, I think that was it 3 that
Yeah.
needed?
Yes, ma'am.
And he and I talked, and so this is where those additional monies is coming, and again, it is coming from my ARPA money to help.
I know it. I just want to know, cause
Yes,
that's
ma'am.
my district. Nobody said nothing to me.
Oh,
about it.
no, he reached out. I think what initially when he contacted me, he said he was looking at individuals who still had some ARPA money. And I was one that still had, and once he elaborated to me, then of course, and then the person backed out on them, I was like, yes, I don't have a problem with providing those funds to help with that.
I'm glad you get to keep yours.
She did.
Yeah, and get the credit.
Mine, I already did it.
Yeah, that
But
already-
I just want, he know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If it's in my district, I like to know.
But he did state that they were looking at individuals who still had some ARPA money that could possibly help. He reached out to me.
Okay. So we have 6 remaining, on voting, 5 now.
Oh, I hadn't voted.
Oh,
Sorry, I apologize.
I know we was voting yet.
I didn't either.
I didn't know. I was waiting on
I thought we
Oh, I
were still in the
did.
discussion mode.
I'm sorry, you're right. Motion passes. Item number 6, authorizes the proposed comprehensive plan study with SSA consultations and amend the budget.
What is this?
so move.
Got a, Ms. Burrell made the motion?
I wanna discuss.
This for the conversation study, right?
Right.
Yes. I second it.
Okay.
Discussion?
A discussion. So this is we will discuss plans prior to distributing monies?
So the compensation study was something that we put forth, and I think some of the jurors asked us to look for other ways of doing this without doing a comp study.
Okay.
And I think it was, Mr. Kennington asked, was one of the questions, why not just use the inflation numbers or use inflation, those rates to compare instead of spending $34,000? And that's what we've done. If you look in your, behind your binders, there's this section, and Lily prepared a lot of this stuff for us, so she can answer more of the specific questions. But I know it's in small print, but to get it all on one sheet and get all the information, that's how we had to print this document. We gave you the hourly minimum and hourly maximum for all the positions in the jury as of 2023. We gave you all the minimum and the maximums that as it was reported in 2020, because the idea was if you just take inflation and you add it to what was in that prior comp study that y'all did, but y'all did not adopt, if you would just add inflation, somewhere, we should be around the same area. And this gives you, and we highlighted our Class A drivers. That's a multiple position. We have them out at solid waste and we have them at the road department. So if you look at Class A drivers, what they're rated at right now is $14.38 per hour to start and max out at $21.59.
Okay.
If you apply inflation numbers to that, you'll see the far right column will give you the 14.6% inflation rate. And that's the rate between the time the comp study was done and now. That's drawn from the U.S. Bureau of Labor and Statistics, specifically Table 7 Compensation Employee Cost Index.
Do we have?
Where is this at?
It's under old
on your
business
desk.
behind.
Looks
Oh.
like this.
It's under old business. Got it.
Oh,
It's in your binder, under old business.
Okay.
I'd like to say about this compensation study. Cause it seems to me that we don't wanna do this because we don't wanna pay these support workers what they worth. Or let one of us step out in our boots and go in that landfill, in that stench, in knee-deep mud. Know what I'm saying? In 110-degree weather. Let us go up here on this road department, stand out in the sun with a flag. I mean, 'cause let's be honest about it. This what this about. They don't want to pay your support workers are who keep this parish running. Without them, we wouldn't be nothing. And that's just the truth. If we didn't have our support workers keeping our roads done, picking up the trash, doing whatever they do, this parish wouldn't be nothing without them. And we need this compensation study because I just cannot understand for the world of me, y'all don't want to pay these people, these support workers, but yet we study creating salaries. I can name 10 salaries we done created straight up out the front door. And they're not no little salaries. We get salaries where we start them off with a raise, making 2 times the person that was making. Then they got a stipend. Then they get a gas card. But we don't want to pay the support work, the people that keep the parish running. But we're willing to keep creating salaries for other people. And they ain't no little salaries, because some of these salaries were starting off with big money. I can't understand that. So, y'all know I'm going to defend these workers because I know what it is to get out there and do the work. See, I was a truck driver. I was a laborer. I done did this work. I done had to stand in the hot sun. I done had to stand in the knee deep. I done had to stand in the pouring down rain. Do this study and pay these people. Because I'm telling y'all, keep trying to tell y'all, when Amazon, the rest of these people come in here, don't y'all be looking crazy when all your workers gone, because that's what's going to happen. Because they all looking for other jobs now. You need truck drivers and heavy equipment operators. You can't get none. Why? Because you don't want to pay them.
Well, thank you,
So
Mr. Burrell. Go ahead.
Anyway, the far right column shows you what the inflation rate, if you were to apply the inflation rate to the 2020 compensation study that was done, that's where we should be based upon that compensation study. So at y'all's request, I mean, that's what we did. And if, looking at the Class A driver, again, right now, our rate is $14.38 minimum, $21.59 maximum. If you do it, if you say go back and you adopt the 2020 and then you apply inflation to that, you would be at $16.08 minimum, $24.11 maximum. Now, this is without doing a comp study. The comp study, obviously, is what I was pointing out before. It's to get comparables to other like organizations of our size and type. So the comp study, I can't say that because I don't know what their methodology is. They do this. I don't know if they're going to use inflation numbers. They're going to reach out to these other organizations that get that information and do a comparable, because ultimately as the jury, you're competing for labor. You're competing for these people with other organizations. So that's the purpose of doing a comp study. But we can save $34,000. You know, Mr. Kennington's right. We can do that if you just applies things like inflation to those positions. So, does anybody have any questions?
And I'm going to add to that note, you know, once you pay a person what they are skilled to do, I mean, you're pretty much getting the productivity out of them. Say, example for roads. If you're getting somebody to know what they're doing, that's less headache on us. Or got this guy standing up wondering what to do. You know, so I strongly suggest that I think we need to do this. Because, you know, Class A truck driver, $33,000. Some of us that have that in a quarter fuel bill. You know, groceries up, everything up.
Exactly.
I mean, these people is really struggling and they got a job every day. Thank you.
Mr. Kennedy wants to speak.
Oh, Mr. Kennedy.
Ms. Lilly, how many employees do we have total, roughly?
Roughly about 118.
How many of those are maxed out at their step?
Oh, probably I would say about close to maybe 75 if I was to take a guess.
So more than half
75%. Yeah, more than half. Yes, sir.
are maxed out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my argument and my math has absolutely zero effect as to whether or not we pay Mr. Norton $1 or we pay Mr. Norton $1.50. I want to make that clear. Or if we pay Mr. Phillip $1 or we pay him $1.50. Has nothing to do with that. My argument is, and it remains the same as the last committee meeting, why pay $34,000 for somebody to tell us what we should pay our people? You can figure that number out real simple by just looking at this sheet somebody created and laid on our desk. In most of these categories, our maximum, like this one here for asphalt machine operator, our maximum is $26.97. Inflated, using the inflationary figures that's provided, that number is $28.54. You're $1.60 or so away. Are you telling me that we can't figure that out without paying $34,000 to somebody to tell us that we need to move everybody $1.50 or that we need to move somebody $5? I mean, we could easily figure this out on our own and save the $40,000, take the $34,000 and divide it amongst all the employees.
I don't disagree with that, but y'all asked that question, and we've done the work. I'm saying we have.
No. I'm talking to the jurors that are fixing to vote on this. I don't agree. And to further comment on that point, they're gonna look, those type people. Let me ask this: do we get any phone calls here saying, "What do y'all pay an asphalt worker?" How many phone calls do we get saying that?
I personally haven't. You will have to check with HR.
A couple. Are they employees looking for a job, or somebody looking for that position, or are they these companies asking for their studies?
Mostly it's parish.
Okay. I'm just saying, there's no reason to spend $34,000 to do that. We can adjust this and pay the people. And once again, my argument against this and my vote that's soon to be against this has nothing to do with paying the people. We can take the $34,000 that we're gonna pay somebody to tell us what we should do or what we can do, and we could do that ourselves.
But doesn't the compensation study, it kind of gives you an idea of, not to say what we got on there is the correct figure, but it gives you an idea as to what we need to be paying the employees, right?
It gives you.
That's my thing, cause we don't want to move. We can stick with that, but if we do a compensation study, if John making $15 an hour, and the compensation study saying we need to bump that up to $18 an hour. See what I'm saying? That's better than saying we gonna give John $1.50, which still gonna make you lose some good employees, cause they gonna go over here to the job that's paying $18. That's what the compensation study does.
Okay. All right, Mr. Jones?
Let's ask Mr. Woodley how hard it is for him to get and keep truck drivers. How hard it is.
When that saltwater first hit,
Yeah.
man, I lost about 6 truck drivers back to back.
Right.
And what I started doing is getting these JB Hunt drivers out of school, and they hang around till they get the experience and everything,
They go somewhere else.
and they go somewhere else. But you know, I don't hire a couple, but they was older guys just needing the insurance. But the young ones ain't gonna.
They're gonna stay.
Why not? And they can drive a salt truck making $30, $40 an hour. I don't blame 'em.
We can't pay that. We can't.
And I don't think we can just look at a sheet of paper and see where they at and say, let's move right there. We need to look at where the trend is and where it's going. So that's what we've been losing out at.
I would like to make an alternate motion on this deal. To go into a workshop on the personnel, where we possibly can work and do it in-house.
I second that motion.
Ross made the motion, Mr. Rose seconded. Roll call vote, Mr. Mitchell.
Workshop?
We wanna do a workshop?
Do this in-house. In other words, don't hire anybody. To do this study in-house through a workshop, then bring it back to the full jury.
I mean, if we do that, we still need some kind of
Right,
knowledge
we not-
as to
we
what
not-
they paying.
Right,
Well-
we're not
well-
seeing the spectrum of where the market is.
Got it in his hand.
Yeah, I mean, we've done the work, we've applied inflation, and the logic is sound with what Mr. Kennington says. If you go back and adopt, or not officially adopt the 2020, but say you just take the 2020's comp study that was done, that you've paid for, but that we did not adopt, and then you apply inflation, that effectively is doing the same thing today as if we were to pay $34,000 to do another study. That's the way I interpret what he was talking about. So, I mean, you can do a workshop, the work is done for y'all to look at. I mean, this gives you the range for all of them, all the positions, if you apply the inflation rate that's held since 2020.
We just need more time to sit down and work the numbers, actually ourselves, instead of hiring somebody, before it fall off the table.
It's gonna vote on it first, huh?
Is any more discussion on the alternate motion? Well, we have a roll call vote. Mr. Mitchell, on the alternate motion.
Aye.
Aye.
No.
No.
All right. Motion failed.
It's passed.
Motion passed.
I'm sorry. So,
I do.
Paulson Rowe.
yeah, Mr. Rowe seconded. The date should be later to discuss, and we'll run it through personnel, correct?
That
That's
was the
up.
motion.
That was the motion.
Right. But we'll get a date once we get everybody could come. Where we at, item? Okay, the new business. Authorize president by resolution to execute an agreement with DOTD for a local road striping and signing grant.
So moved.
I got a motion by Mr. Baker,
Second.
second by Mr. Mitchell. Discussion?
I have one. Is there a match on this?
Oh, no.
Nope, no match?
100%.
100%.
And what it was, 1 point?
1.8 million.
1.8.
Maybe we can get that paint thick enough to patch some of them holes. They won't send us any money.
If there's no more discussion, please vote.
Y'all got some good, I'm trying to figure out how these go. So what this grant do, Mr.,
To,
It pays for striping on parish roads that were under the study that was done with, I believe it was.
and signage.
Yeah. And signage.
okay.
Signage and
Okay,
striping.
you pay for the parish road.
Yes, ma'am, this is for parish roads only.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thick enough to fit in some of these holes.
Okay, we'll have 3 remaining.
You gotta tell us to vote.
I thought I did. It's been a long evening, I guess. Motion passes.
How long was that committee meeting? How long was that committee meeting?
Right. Okay, number 7, resolution. Recommend authorize the president to sign a resolution for the police jury to intervene with the lawsuit filed by Attorney General Office against FEMA regarding the flood zone methodologies. Got a motion by Mr. Kennington, right? Okay, Mr. Kennington. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Baker. Discussion? If there's no discussion, please vote. Motion passes. Ordinance, adopted ordinance 9 of 2023, implementing the hotel motel tax effective September the 1st, 2023.
So move.
Got Ms. Burrell made the motion. I second. Discussion?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Discussion. This is with the RVs and all of those individuals, taxing them.
Correct.
The, what was it, the 1% or the 3%?
3%.
The 3%.
Yes, ma'am, correct.
This is on all
It's more than that, isn't it?
RV parks, motels,
Hotel.
hotels,
Okay.
any place that they rent out for overnight stay.
Yes, sir.
Is that more
As a
than 3%?
business,
Yeah, I think
as a
that
business.
there's an exemption for overnight medical facility care type things, but not,
Yeah, it doesn't like nursing homes, things like that, those don't qualify for this.
I'm just talking about businesses. not-
Yes, sir, it's for
Yeah.
commercial
no,
business.
it's hotel, motel, and RVs.
We probably don't pay, don't charge.
Okay, if there's any more discussion,
Probably the only parish don't charge.
please vote. Motion passes. Administrative item.
Administrative items. Number 9, recommends appointing Ron Jackson to the DeSoto Parish Tourism Commission for the remaining term of Marvin Jackson.
So move.
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Jones, second by Ms. Burrell. Discussion? There's none. Would you please vote?
I think everybody know Mr. Jackson. Longtime community bank employee. Marvin Jackson's cousin, by the way.
Motion passes.
Item number 10, recommends authorizing the DeSoto Parish 4-H to use a small portion of the grass area directly behind the Dave Means 4-H barn, also known as the old P-Patch, for ATV safety training courses.
Mr. Kennedy made the motion,
Yeah.
second by Mr. Parker. Discussion?
Discussion.
Yes, ma'am.
I know we stated the last time that we were going to make sure that we weren't liable for any of this
Right.
as far as insurance. So we're okay? We're
We're
good?
okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, and they gonna have to sign a thing like we do? The
Insurance.
waiver? The waiver,
What waiver are you referring to?
the one we have to sign when we, y'all make, you make us sign a waiver saying we ain't responsible for no accidents or none of that.
Well, their certificate of liability insurance pretty much states that.
And
They voluntarily say that in their certificate of insurance. There's no waiver that we have to get signed by them.
You make us sign a waiver, we put a $500,000 insurance on that 4-H thing, and then you make us sign a waiver saying that we are responsible if anything
Now,
happens.
Ms. Burrell, let's be honest here. I don't make them, the jury makes them. That's a jury policy. That is on special events that occur out there. The 4-H building, there are reoccurring events that they do each year that y'all have adopted in the policies that allowed them to do that. They get insurance through the
'Cause I
Division
don't-
of Administration.
I don't remember us even ever voting on, we have to sign a waiver. But that ain't being fair to the people.
But that's been your policy since before I was administrator. Y'all have always made anybody who uses that facility out there.
I've
Sign a
been reading the
waiver.
4-H
For a
building.
special event.
I've been reading the 4-H building, I know a good 10, 15 years, and this just happened since you been here, Mike.
Oh, okay.
Okay, would you please, any more discussion? There's none, please vote. Got one remaining.
That's me, I'm thinking
Oh,
about it.
okay.
'cause it ain't fair.
But the kids need to learn the
Yeah,
safety.
they need to learn, but be fair.
Motion passes.
Yeah, we
right, number 11 recommends authorizing the president to sign a cooperative endeavor agreement with the Melvin Porter Foundation in the amount of $500. That's, Mr. Fuller's ARPA funds.
Correct.
Second.
Mr. Kyle made the motion, Ms. Trina Boyd seconded. Discussion? If there's no discussion, please vote. Vote. Motion passes.
Item number 12 recommends authorizing the president to sign a cooperative endeavor agreement with the Logansport Christmas Festival in the amount of $2,500.
So move.
Second.
Like Mr. Mitchell made the motion,
I
and
made
Ms.
it.
Burrell seconded.
He was opposite.
Opposite. She made
Opposite.
the motion.
Ms. Burrell made the motion, Mr. Mitchell seconded. Any discussion? Well, I figured it was his area.
Yeah, I thought, that's why she let him have his motion.
Please vote.
That people know he's trying to do something for them.
They know he's trying to do something. They know.
Motion passes.
Item number 13 recommends authorizing the president to sign a CEA with the Fire District Number 1 for fireworks display in the amount of $2,500 ARPA funds again.
So move.
Second.
Ms. Burrell made the motion, Mr. Mitchell seconded. Discussion.
He said that they afternoon food.
If there's no discussion, please vote. Motion passes.
Number 14 recommends appointing the Mansfield Enterprise to the official journal for the DeSoto Parish Police Jury.
You gotta have one. I make a motion.
Yeah, I know, bad as we hate to, but, Mr. Mitchell made the motion. Second by Mr. Kennedy.
I got this thing.
Discussion.
I think we need to send them a letter or some type of communication, letting them know what they have done in the past and what we expect of them.
I just couldn't.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, at the Shreveport Time put office down here.
They got a paper, they don't need an
Good
office.
night. We ought to be able to use them.
They got a paper, they don't need an office.
Miss B.
I have to go back and look, but I think they gotta be here 3 years.
Yeah, 3 years.
Well, we still might need to work,
Oh, they
get to
been
working
here.
on it.
But the paper's been
You're
here,
right.
the paper's been here. It's been here for years.
The office. Have to have an office.
Have to have an office in the parish.
That's easy to set up
Oh,
a tent,
God,
man.
Mr. Tree, man.
All right,
Good retirement job.
Please
on
vote.
paper.
Got one remaining.
Oh, Jesus. Sorry. I thought I pressed that.
Motion
yes button.
motion passes. Okay, budget finance item.
Budget and Finance recommends amending the road budget in the amount of $140,000 to purchase 24 scales and storage bins for the scales.
So move.
Got Mr. Rowe made the motion,
Second.
Ms. Trina Boyd second. Discussion. If there is no discussion, please vote. Motion passes.
Recommends amending the general fund budget in the amount of up to $400,000 for installation of roofing sealant and/or a new roof at the 4-H building, and evaluate both routes with money coming from the Economic Development Fund.
So move.
Mr. Ernell Jones made the motion.
Second.
Ms. Trina Boyd second. Discussion.
Yes, sir. I love the 4-H's, I love the kids, I love it all, but to use this money on our economic development money. First of all, how much economic development do the 4-H building bring? Very little. Second thing I got an issue with is, I keep expressing to you all, we had a 4-H building up there. that the people that foot the bill have to wait in line to use it. If the 4-H's want to use it a whole year, we'll never get to use it. Same thing with the ballpark. DeSoto Athletic runs the ballpark. The people that foots the bill have to wait in line. Only way they can use it is DeSoto Athletics not using it. Now, for its economic development, give back to the people. We gonna have to start giving back to the people, y'all. Do something. I mean, like the water park idea. We spend all that money on them plans to do something, to develop that property up there. We need to exercise some of that. Cause until then, we ain't gonna, y'all can forget till I put something to pass a tax. Now, these people ain't not gonna pass it cause you're not giving back to them. Give these people something for their tax dollars. Give them something back. And I'm sorry, but I disagree on spending $400,000 on a building that all the people cannot use. And I love the 4-H's, but this is a building that's been made perfectly clear. Only way you can use it, you got to stand in line.
There's any more discussion? Mr. Parker?
I'm not against the 4-H. I'll make that clear right now.
Me either.
I don't understand why we're changing our budget $400,000 for installation of roof sealant and our new roof at the 4-H building and evaluate both routes with monies coming from the economic. We don't know what this is gonna cost. We can't figure out how much it's gonna do. Which way's the cheapest? We can't figure that out before we do all this, before we change the budget. I believe we have people here that should be able to give us an idea of what it's gonna cost to put a new roof on there or to put a ceiling on it before we change the budget.
Mr. Kenneth?
I'm the one that made the motion at the committee meeting, and this is not exactly the way I remember making the motion, because we discussed that, Mr. Parker. And from my understanding, from what Michael and Lily said, we couldn't even get a quote to fix it either route without amending the budget to authorize the quote. Now, if they misquoted, or if I'm misquoting them, they can correct the record, but I'm not for going ahead and doing any work yet. But the last meeting we discussed this, people were tossing around numbers like you buying a Coke at the gas station. And that's not what we're doing. We're looking at either spending $80,000 or spending $400,000, but nobody even knows if either one of those numbers are accurate. So I made the motion to amend the budget just so they could get the bids. We haven't voted to do any work, and that would be a further discussion with more details and bids. Now, I don't know, I didn't type this up, that's all I have to say.
So
Thank you for clearing
in order to get bids, you have to secure funding. In order to secure funding, you have to fund it in the budget. That's why we need to amend the budget up to that amount, because these are, according to what the parish engineers told us, it's going to cost up to $400,000. And anything over $250,000, you have to take out and send out, do advertisements for it. But before you do that, you have to secure the funding. So it doesn't mean we can do an advertisement. You can say the funding comes in at $390,000. That's what it's gonna cost to do this roof. And you can say, well, we've changed our minds. We wanna go the cheaper route, the ceiling route, $80,000. We spend $80,000. We don't spend $390,000. We're giving you options, and this allows you to have those options.
Two other comments. Number one, I was chairman of the Buildings and Properties last year, and I was never told or informed that it was leaking at all. So I didn't know that, or we'd have done this last year. The second thing is, no offense to our engineer, or no offense to the engineer on the jail project, but we were told 25 million there, and it was 33. On every one of our road projects, we're told one number, and it's much higher. It may very well be that this time. That's why my intent from the alternate motion last meeting was just to allow the bids to happen. It's not to allow any work to happen.
Thank you for clearing it up. Any more discussion?
Did we actually get a bid on having the sealant? Because you had a number for that, for $80-something thousand.
I think it was like 80 or 83,000.
About
83,000?
83,000.
Right.
Huh?
It was about 83,000.
Yeah, quote.
A quote or
That was a quote for
That's
the
a quote, not a
sealant.
bid.
Quote for sealant.
I ain't got no problem with the 83,000. I mean, if it's
But-
leaking,
but
I
also
have no
said it
problem with
lasts us
fixing
about
it.
5
With
years.
400,000, that's a big difference.
So, you know.
Yeah, y'all do this
Past
every
10
few years. You,
Past 10.
Okay. Please vote. One remaining. Oh, I'm sorry.
So
Go ahead.
so the way it's written here, this is not actually using any funds. This is,
Just to secure.
this is securing the
This-
funding so we can go and get bids,
That's all,
which are going to
okay.
be in excess of we've been advisor in excess of 250,000.
And whatever the bids come back, it still have to come back.
Come back
through
to us.
us if we
Okay.
decide.
okay.
You still warning.
Motion passes.
Mr. President, I would say this, the people that bid on these projects love to see a number like 400,000.
Exactly.
Putting it out there, huh?
Exactly.
They
That's
love it. It's
exactly
gonna
what
be
I'm saying.
$399, $999.
But we still.
Yeah,
have
but
to-
we still have to make decisions, hey.
But we can still just.
But yeah, you're right.
Three. Just
You'll probably do the same. Just picking with you.
Oh, I know.
Insurance items.
Yes, sir.
Recommends allowing DeSoto Fire District Number 2 to place employee or employees under the police jury's health insurance program with no cost to the jury and waiving the 1-year waiting period for any entity.
So move.
Second.
Got it. Mr. Baker made the motion. Mr. Rose second. Discussion.
You seconded, okay.
No, you did.
I did. You did.
I was waiting on Jimmy to do it.
Oh. Slip by him. Is there's any discussion? If none,
First off,
I thought you were gonna say something.
when it says this is at no cost to the jury, that's not actually correct.
See?
We do have cost involved in all our insurance with whoever we may be using it, because we do administrate the fund. Ms. Garcia is in the finance company. We do have money involved in all these insurances. Very little, but we do have money.
Okay.
okay, any more discussion?
Yeah, I mean, which broker services we talking about?
We ain't on that
No,
one yet.
we're still on 17.
On seven,
Any
item
broker?
seven, we're on item 17.
Oh, okay. I thought we was on the insurance thing.
Oh, are there other fire districts on the insurance? Or this just
District 8, I believe it is.
Yeah,
District 8?
that's the biggest one, I believe, in the parish.
We opened up a Pandora's box on this.
That's what I'm thinking, man. Everybody want to get on the insurance, and then we get money for us, man.
Any more discussion?
So we.
None, please vote. All right, Ms. Trainer.
I voted.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Motion passes.
Now, I want to clarify something. I just make sure y'all do know that this also waives the 1-year waiting period.
Right, so he
going
can go,
forward for
yeah.
any entity.
So what you saying, this finna cost us?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. We're just waiving, y'all are waiving the 1-year waiting period for any of the
I'm
groups
talking
that
about
might be a
this-
component unit of the jury so they can get on there.
Let this be a cost to us now, no kind of cost.
Item 18.
Problem with that.
Yes, sir.
Recommends authorizing Ms. Garcia and Mr. Norton to sign letters for broker services.
So moved.
Okay, Mr. Mitchell made the motion.
Second.
Second by Mr. Kennington. Discussion? Any discussion?
Ms. Burrell,
I
this is,
already had asked my question about it.
Okay.
oh, okay.
Well, please vote. Motion passes. Road item.
Recommend rejecting all bids on tree cutting services.
So move.
Got Mr. Parker made the motion.
Second.
Second by Mr. Kennington. Discussion?
Who cutting out trees now?
Yes, I go ahead,
Yes.
of course.
Same guy's been cutting them now. They had trouble with the bids or something, didn't
Oh.
they, Ms. Garcia?
Yes, ma'am. His contract will expire at the end of June, but we're going back out for quotes. So right now it's counted trees that's doing it. So they're still doing it. They just didn't fill the bid form correctly.
Right, that's what it was.
So both of them were thrown out. One didn't acknowledge the addendum that we put out there, and the other one did not calculate the unit price correctly. So purchasing is putting that back out to bid and getting quotes. So we'll get that back on the agenda for July.
I just hope there's no third party looking at their bids and but then put the third party put in a bid, so we'll see.
Yep.
If there's no more discussion, please vote.
Oh, wait a minute, so you mean somebody else gonna get the bid?
No. I'm just saying, if I wanted to put in my bid, I see what they bid was.
I know, that's what I'm saying, so, yeah, I know the underbidder.
Yeah. That's the only concern I have with it.
Me too.
Doesn't the law say if it doesn't meet the specs, you have to reject it?
Yes. Yeah.
Doesn't the law say you have to open them in public?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the name of the game.
Yeah.
Who's left?
That is,
Ms.
Ms.
Burrell.
Hill?
Oh.
Oh. I know that ain't me.
Motion passes.
Recommend authorizing the president to sign a corporate endeavor agreement with the Village of South Mansfield to lay rock on Water Well Access Road, ARPA
moved.
money.
So moved.
Okay, Mr. Ernell Jones made the motion.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Trina Bard. Discussion?
That's my ARPA money.
Thank you. Please vote.
Seems like you shouldn't have to do that. Seems like the jury should do that, man. Use your money for that.
Motion passes.
Recommend the president sign a corporate endeavor agreement with the town of Keachire for road repairs on Lucky and Cloverleaf Drive for ARPA money.
So moved.
Yeah,
Second.
Got,
Who's ARPA money?
Mine.
that's Mr.
I didn't want Ms. Boyd to get another one.
Mr. Holmes made the motion. Mrs. Burrell, Ms. Trina seconded.
Missed that one, Cream.
Discussion? There's none, please vote.
What was that?
22.
Recommend authorizing the E91 renaming of Tupelo Street to Cox Private Lane.
Okay, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Make a motion.
Got a motion by Mr. Kennington, second by Mr. Holmes and Ms. Trina Bard.
I'm just giving it another name.
Discussion?
Which one we in?
I don't know, whose district this
My
Thibodeau?
district.
Oh, Mr. Rowe.
Okay.
All right, please vote.
Could have made a motion.
Yeah.
Well, I couldn't spell the word reason we changed it.
I think it's Ms. spelled unless they want it that way.
Motion passes.
Recommend authorize the president sign a change order number 1 for road and drainage improvement on Charlie Jones, Dahl, Mount, Nash Roads, 2016 FEMA.
So move.
I got a motion by Ms. Sir.
Second.
I got a motion by Ms. Burrell, second by Mr. Jones. Discussion? None, please vote.
Parker got in the game now.
I can vote for Mr. Parker.
Yeah, ain't Charlie Jones in your area?
But this gonna be a no.
About to see. Motion passes. Solid waste.
Recommends awarding low quote for portable restrooms to AH Rentals.
So move.
Got a, Mr. Rowe made the motion. Mr. Jones and Ms. Trina Ball second.
Go get to Ms. Trina.
Discussion?
I didn't have a discussion. I didn't make a motion. I mean,
Yeah.
We don't-
she said who?
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, Mr. Jones.
I'm sure they need porta potties.
Discussion? If none, please vote.
Well, you're awesome, man.
Yeah.
I'm being, I feel like I'm being picked on tonight.
You guys are gonna be sad when that.
Okay, we got one remaining.
Oh, you do? It better not be me. That ain't yours. Oh, see, that's not.
I'm ready to go.
You invite him.
Motion passes. Motion to adjourn.
Move.
So move.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
We adjourn. Good evening, good night, everybody. Thank you for coming out.
Yeah, I was trying to get to the meeting, the time we had at the